What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying the week. This video is going to tackle a unique, underrated, and in my opinion, a valuable benefit of the Total Gym that adds an element of superiority over barbells, dumbbells, and other popular forms of resistance training. And that's the ability for their Total Gym or sliding bench trainer to train the ability of power. Now, this is a nice definition I found that really kind of breaks it down for people that aren't familiar with this. It's the ability to exert a maximal force in as short time as possible as in accelerating, jumping, throwing implements, while strength training is the maximal force you can apply against the load. Power is proportional to the speed at which you can apply the maximal force. Now, traditionally in strength and conditioning and just personal training, coaches will train power utilizing exercises that can be performed with speed and ideally maximum effort for the benefit of having the body positively adapt to increase power output capabilities, or you can even say the expression of power, because power is somewhat genetic. And so in other words, we're training power to basically improve power. As you can see from some of these exercises, the common factor is that these are all exercises that allow the athlete to apply maximum force in an explosive manner, either pushing off the ground with jumping or throwing an implement or slamming an implement like a medicine ball, which becomes kind of difficult to do with certain devices like a barbell, dumbbell for certain limbs and muscles. So you kind of needed some creativity or just some other apparatuses, like if you want to do upper body power, you might attach some resistance bands and kind of pull yourself and pop yourself up off the bar. So there's a number of ways you can kind of do this with traditional strength training equipment, but what's great with the Total Gym is that you can do this pretty easily with some of these exercises and all the major body parts with just using the stock Total Gym. So now I'm going to show you some of these exercises. This isn't really exhaustive, but this is all kind of the major movement patterns. Right now I'm just showing you guys doing some minor power stuff and just exploding. This isn't really power right now. I'm actually trying kind of plyometrics, which I'm not really going to get into. Plyometrics just requires you to not fully absorb and kind of doing more of a harder explosion. But what's great about saying like the Great Flex versus the Total Gym, yes, I can pop and explode. One benefit with the Great Flex, so as you can see, it's got those little rubber stoppers that allow me to not get stuck on the gym. So if I want to push as hard as I can and explode up as hard as I can, you can see I don't really get stuck. I can do this a number of different ways, and you're less likely to do this if you're kind of seated. But the point is, and I can show you that there, that's one thing you got to be mindful of, is that the thing can kind of bow. So it's not perfect, but it's definitely pretty cool. I mean, I can go single leg and really pop and explode. I'll try, I'm not going max effort here, but I'm trying pretty hard to do it. And this also can depend on what you're doing. Like right now I'm trying to isolate and really just isolate my glutes is what's kind of doing most of the motion. But later you'll see me when I jump on the Great Flex, I'll really try and pop and push as hard as I can. And I think I even show a couple moves where I do bottom out the machine on the Total Gym just on purpose. So that can happen. So this thing isn't perfect, but it is pretty great that you can train. Right now we're just talking with the lower limbs. You can train power in the legs, again, just popping and exploding as hard as I can off the machine. Now you can do this as like standalone workouts, or you can kind of integrate this in between, but here's an example of using the Great Flex. I'm trying to push as hard as I can just using one limb, and you can see I'm not bottoming it out. And a good factor too, this is minimal stress that you would get, let's say, if you're doing this on the ground, where you're going to maybe stressing your back and other factors start playing into place. This, I can really isolate my legs and just focusing on delivering as much force as possible just on my lower limbs. Now I'm going to show you the beauty of the Total Gym, how this kind of really shines in the upper body, where there's not too many implements where you can really forcefully push off as hard as I can off of, let's say, your chest without actually throwing something. And I think that's pretty cool. Now you notice it takes some fine tuning. I don't want to get into too much detail with this, but you can kind of notice, obviously, with some of these things, you have to be careful of where your weight's distributed because it can kind of bow off. But as I'm doing this, I'm subtly adjusting as I'm doing this, but I am basically trying to do max effort as I'm pushing off. Now what I do find this works a little bit better using the weight bar attachment. And again, you can't really notice it, but I'm trying to really push as hard as I can. And like I said before, I don't want to digress, but you'll see a few moves where I'm actually fully absorbing all the way down and then pushing off as hard as I can. And then some of these you may notice that I'm kind of trying to stop short, meaning as soon as I hit contact or shock the body with my arms, I'm trying to deliver that force as much as possible. That gets into the definition of plyometrics, and plyometrics definitely trains power and has elements of this, but I'm not going to go into that rant too much. But just recognize, I'll just say this, plyometrics and power really are not the same things. There are some subtle differences, so I don't want to go too much into that. This is more just an introductory into what power is and just how the Total Gym can really train this. Now this is pretty cool too. Not many devices can you train, shoulder power, meaning doing a vertical press as hard as you can in a power move. I'm trying to, actually, as I'm recording this, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure there is one, but you know, this is pretty cool that you can do this for reps, not have to worry about really fatiguing too much. Like if I was trying to, like some extreme measure, like someone's trying to do like a handstand power push-up, that would be pretty tough. You're not going to get 200 repetitions out of this. But as you can see here, I'm exerting as much force as I can in as short period of time as I can. And ideally, as you're doing this, I'm doing a lot of reps traditionally for training power. You don't really want to do this for like up to fatigue, like you're getting like an aerobic benefit out of this. You'd want to do as many maximal contractions as you can. Here's one I'm kind of doing plyometrics. You might have saw that here. I kind of stopped short a little bit there and tried to deliver, but that's actually pretty tough. And again, I know I'm rambling here. I just want to kind of fit this in. It's more of an, like I said, an introductory. Look how I can really express power on the upper body. I showed you that example using resistance bands and a weight bar attachment, but there's not too many resistance training devices where you can really pull this off and adequately train, you know, power in the lats, power in the upper body or back. And you know, not do anything kind of special or unique, because like I said, there's ways to do it, but especially not for doing, you know, a little bit more than a few repetitions like you would maybe for like doing like a power weighted bridge or something like that. So this is just an expose into this. You guys can insert this in your training. I don't think this is a video that really has to go on that long, but this is definitely a underrated and understated benefit of the Total Gym. So thanks for watching. Questions, comments, feedback, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.